Ladies and gentlemen, let me share something with you. When a woman stops reaching out to a man, it's not just silence. It's a statement. It's a message louder than any words could be. It's the kind of quiet that rattles a man all the way to his core. You ever seen a man just sit there staring at his phone as if it's broken? That's when he starts realizing what he really had. One of the harshest truths in relationships is this: some men don't recognize the true worth of the woman in their life until she's no longer there. I'm talking about after she pulls away, after she stops calling, after she stops checking in, after she stops caring like she used to. That's when reality hits him hard, like a brick to the chest. Most men live in the illusion that she'll always be around. They think because she's consistent, because she's loyal, because she's patient, she'll never leave. They mistake her kindness for weakness and her loyalty for a guarantee. But women, hear me clearly. The moment you go quiet, the moment you step back, that's when he starts seeing that everything he took for granted was love at its purest. Many men don't know how to appreciate emotional comfort until it's gone. That attention you gave him every morning, the good morning texts, the way you remembered all the little things he said, the way you supported his dreams, even when he never asked, you were his peace. But he didn't know how to value peace because chaos felt normal. He was chasing noise, ignoring the quiet loyalty sitting right next to him, until one day that loyalty simply walked away, not with bags, not with drama, just silence. You didn't argue, you didn't beg, you didn't break down, you just stopped. And that shook him. Let me tell you something about men. They can handle anger, tears, complaints, but they can't handle distance. That's what shatters a man's pride and tugs at his heart at the same time. When you go cold, that's when he realizes your warmth wasn't guaranteed. He begins to remember how it felt when you were there. He notices the emptiness around him. His days feel longer, his phone feels heavier. The compliments stop, the laughter fades. That silence forces a man to confront himself. It makes him see all the ways he failed to honor the woman who stood by him. He scrolls through old pictures, reads past messages, watches stories like they're a full movie, hoping for any sign that she still cares. Because the truth is, when a woman truly detaches, it's not easy to bring her back. It takes more than a casual, "Hey, are you okay?" or "I miss you." It takes a man finally stepping up. When she was always available, he never saw the rarity of her energy. The second it vanished, it became priceless. He begins thinking maybe, just maybe, he lost something other men would have prayed for. The woman he used to ignore becomes the woman he can't get out of his mind. The woman he assumed he had forever is now the one he can't reach. And that regret is quiet but deadly. When a good woman pulls away, it's rarely because she stopped loving him. It's because she grew tired of proving it. And in that moment, he finally sees what he was living with, a queen. But now he's watching from a distance, hoping she might glance back. A man often doesn't understand a woman's worth until her absence speaks louder than her presence ever did. A woman's silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning. It's a mirror, a test. When a man used to hearing from her every day suddenly hears nothing, it affects him deeply. It shakes him in ways he doesn't talk about. It forces reflection he's avoided for years. Her silence isn't emptiness, it's weight. She's already said it all and now she's done trying. That's when he feels the full impact of everything he ignored. He rethinks every moment she asked for time and he said no, every time she tried to talk and he brushed her off, every tear he dismissed as too much. He sits in the dark, wondering where he went wrong. Her silence doesn't let him off the hook. It forces him to face his conscience. No arguments, no texts, no casual check-ins, just him and his thoughts. Her absence makes him hear his own voice for the first time. And most men don't like what they hear. That quiet is humbling. It doesn't yell, but it wounds. It doesn't push, but it exposes. When a woman who used to fill his world with love and support stops, he realizes that maybe he's the reason for the silence. Now he's in his own head, replaying old conversations, trying to remember the last words before she went quiet. What haunts him most is that he didn't see it coming. He thought he had more time. He thought she'd always come back. He thought silence was temporary. But no, this is deliberate, a message saying, I've loved you enough to lose myself. Now I'm finding me again. That silence forces a man to grow up fast. It's a storm that's passed but rearranged everything. Nothing feels right. Work feels dull. Nights are restless. Songs hit differently. Her absence becomes a persistent ache. And breaking through? Impossible. Once a woman finds peace in her silence, pulling her back is a challenge. Now he's thinking differently, not just about her, but about himself. He asks why he took her for granted, why he didn't hear her needs, why he assumed she'd always stay. That silence reveals the man he wasn't. It breaks through ego, bravado, leaving him face to face with his own flaws. That's the power of a woman's silence. It doesn't just punish, it teaches. It doesn't just cut him off, it shows him the truth. Most men never expect that. They think if she stops talking, it's over. But the lesson begins then. Healing begins then, not just for her, but for him too. A man who truly listens to silence and sees what he missed can change or remain stuck in regret. Silence ensures he won't forget. A man will chase the thing he ignored once he feels it slipping away. That's how we're wired. We don't always appreciate what's in front of us. When it begins to slip, something changes. Urgency appears where none existed before. It isn't because he suddenly became better. It's fear stepping in. When a woman shows up every day, pouring into him, checking in, making time, supporting him, praying for him, he grows comfortable. He assumes she'll never leave. He becomes lazy, takes her for granted, until the day she isn't there. That's when panic sets in. He remembers all the things he didn't do, moments he could have held her, words he should have said but didn't. Only when love starts slipping does he feel the weight of loss. That feeling hits hard, and he reevaluates everything. He chases what's slipping through his fingers, not always noble, but instinctive. Her silence becomes a challenge, her distance a puzzle. It's not ego, it's fear. Fear of replacement, fear of being forgotten, fear that someone else will do what he failed to do. Now he calls more, texts more, shows up in ways he never did before. He talks about the future, makes promises, says what she once begged him to say. But the energy has changed. She's cautious, distant, unsure, and he feels it. That's why the chase begins, because deep down he knows his time is limited. Many men don't take action until they feel pressure. They don't wake up until the woman who once lit up at their voice now answers with silence. They don't shift until her, I love you turns into, I'm done. That's when the real change begins. That's when they start showing what they could have been all along, if only they had seen her value before facing the threat of losing it. It's wild how losing access makes a man finally notice what he had access to. That's when it hits him. She was rare. She was constant. She was loyal. And now she's gone. Now she's glowing without him. Now she's healing quietly. That reality is hard to swallow. That's why men chase. Not because they suddenly became better, but because the presence they once overlooked has turned into the absence they can't ignore. When a man chases after a woman once she's pulled back, it's not just about getting her back. It's about making sure no one else will have her. Men may not always value what they have, but they will chase it when they see it slipping away. That chase is his way of admitting, I finally see what I was blind to. But whether he earns another chance depends on whether he's chasing out of fear or genuine care. Here's the truth. When a woman pulls back emotionally, when she detaches from a man she once loved deeply, it shakes him. It rattles his sense of control. It makes him question himself because emotional detachment isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet and it's real. And that's what throws a man off more than anything else. Most men are used to being in control. They think, she loves me too much to leave. But when she stops feeling, stops reacting, stops caring, that's when panic sets in. When a woman is emotionally invested, she fights, she argues, she shows passion. That might frustrate a man, but deep down he knows that means she still cares. If she's getting emotional, she's still in it. But the moment that stops, when she becomes distant, quiet, and cold, that's when he starts losing control. That's when he realizes he's no longer the center of her emotional world. And for a man, that's scary. Most men won't admit it, but they thrive on emotional connection, even if they don't always know how to handle it. When a woman gives her heart, her attention, her energy, it lifts his confidence. It gives him a sense of certainty, even a feeling of power. But when that energy changes, when her responses get shorter, when her eyes no longer sparkle like before, when her voice loses warmth, it hits him differently. Now he's overthinking, watching every tiny change, trying to figure out where he lost her. Here's the twist. He lost her long before she ever left. He just didn't notice, because he assumed she'd always feel the same. Emotional detachment from a woman who once adored you humbles a man. It shakes even the toughest, most confident guy, because suddenly all the attention, affection, and concern he relied on are gone. He's left with a version of her that doesn't need him like before, and that shift cuts deep. When a man senses he no longer has a place in her heart, he questions his worth. That control he thought he had crumbles. That confidence he carried feels fractured. He remembers all the moments he brushed her off, all the times he dismissed her feelings, all the chances he ignored to truly show up. Back then, her love felt endless, but now he sees that even the deepest love has limits. The more she detaches, the more desperate he becomes. He starts doing things he never did before. He wants to talk. He wants to listen. He wants to know how she's doing. But when a woman is emotionally gone, those gestures don't work the same way. She doesn't respond with excitement. She's not trying to convince him. She's not begging to be heard because she already tried. She gave her best, and now she's focused on peace. That's what really unsettles a man. Realizing she's not waiting for him anymore. Seeing her world still move without him. Her joy no longer tied to his presence. That's when he fully understands her value. But by then, she's already learned how to thrive without him. Nothing shakes a man's control more than realizing the woman who once needed him doesn't anymore. Distance isn't about miles. It's about emotional space. That gap between two people who were once close. When a woman pulls back, stops showing up the same way, when her energy shifts and she steps away, it forces a man into a space he doesn't like. Real reflection happens. Not surface level, I miss her thinking, but sitting alone, staring at the ceiling, wondering how he ended up here, wondering how the woman who once gave everything now barely responds. Many men don't process emotions during a relationship. They're too comfortable, too distracted, or just not ready to understand what they have while it's in front of them. They assume everything will stay the same. But when she creates space, stops texting first, stops checking in, stops trying, that silence becomes deafening. That distance starts speaking to him in ways her words never could. For the first time, he hears the truth about himself. That space makes him think. It makes him replay the arguments he brushed off, the moments she cried while he stayed cold, the days she begged for his time, energy, and respect, and he didn't give it. That's when guilt creeps in. That's when the what-ifs take over. What if I just listened? What if I took her seriously back then? And it eats at him. Reflection comes heavy because he can't just fix it like before. The space has boundaries. Distance makes a man realize how deeply he felt. Some men don't understand their love until they can't reach her. When she was always there, he didn't question his feelings. Now without her, he feels the emptiness. That emptiness wakes his heart. He recognizes she wasn't just someone he dated, she mattered. Distance paints a clearer picture than presence ever could. It exposes what he took for granted. It shows him the love he was too blind, too proud, or too distracted to see. In that space, he must face the truth. No distractions, no one else to blame. Maybe he didn't give his best, didn't try hard enough, and maybe it's too late. That's when regret hits. He starts reaching out, trying to reconnect. He might text, call late, ask how she's been. You can hear the change in his voice. He's grown, not because time passed, but because distance forced him to. Silence humbled him. Distance taught him what words never could. Sometimes being away from love is the only way to understand it. Sometimes a man has to lose